Hey friends, welcome back to the Gentle and Lowly Co podcast. I'm Addie, your host, and today we'll be talking about rediscovering faith-based media. Our guest today is Craig Dehut. Craig is a freelance video producer with over 15 years of experience and the co-founder of Appian Media. Since 2015, he and his team have been creating award-winning Bible films, podcasts, and content that's accurate, beautifully produced, and always free, like seriously free, which is amazing and such a gift. And this is amazing just because so many more people can connect with the gospel without barriers. So, Craig, a fellow Hoosier as well, just welcome
Yes.
to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a fun connection to make.
Yes, I'm so excited to get into our topic, all about faith-based media. We have that creative side and everything. But first, for our friends who are new here and who don't know you, just share a little bit about what this current season of life looks like for you just right now.
Sure. So yeah, I live in central Indiana with my wife and three kiddos. They're homeschooled, so my wife is very busy and very talented to help them in that season. And yeah, it's exciting for us. I can work from home when I'm not traveling, but I work as a freelance video producer, spending the majority of my time with the work with Appian Media, which is traveling overseas and producing documentaries about the Bible, and spending countless hours and months editing that together and making that available for people for free online. So
Yeah.
yeah, just we're active with our local church, and we have family all across the country. Both of our families are fairly large, and stay connected with them, and just blessed to be used by God in the kingdom in this way.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get into that in the our theme of the week a little bit, but with like going back to school and homeschooling and different schedules and all the things, like even just in my conversations and online, you're seeing all the photos and things, and it's
Yes.
fun. It's really exciting, but that's
Yeah.
definitely a different season, and it's a good one though for sure. It's a lot of fun, and
Yes.
it's I think it's a huge gift you're all able to be together, and that can be challenging at times too, but also we're able just to be together and spend that quality time where it matters too. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
I wouldn't trade it for a world. I mean, I grew up in a homeschool family. My wife Karen did not. She had a
Mhm.
great experience in public school, but kind of finding the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Mostly, it's just we appreciate having them home, and the training that we can do with them, we think is essential. So
Yeah, I love that. That's so fun. Okay, so let's kick it off with music of the week. Now, think back to the week. What has been, in your ears? What have you been listening to or in the car? That might change, with kids too,
yeah.
everything. But what have you guys been listening to?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I used to be very much a music listener. In high school, I worked in radio, so it was probably the only time of my life where I was actually up on what was popular. I am not so much anymore. Typically, when I'm in the car, I'm listening to a podcast or an
Yeah.
audiobook. However, we do very much enjoy, as part of our church worship, singing hymns together. And just this past Sunday, learned a new hymn. It's new for me. I think it's been around for many
Yeah.
years, but it's called Zion Sing. And it's just, I'm still kind of learning the music, but the words really kind of struck me. It's just a beautiful song of praise based on a psalm. And to hear us all kind of joining together and just we as his creation singing out to him the praises that he's due. And so that's been replaying itself in my brain. And then as I've been driving, like I said, audiobooks are typically what I've been listening to. And this very much an avid reader of like Sherlock Holmes. And so I'm listening to Sherlock Holmes novels or other mystery novels, things from Agatha Christie. I'm a puzzle solver, and mysteries are that to me. So something fun to do while I'm driving.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That sounds honestly like a lot of fun. There's like a couple of my favorite books, and I'm like, usually I grew up like reading them, but listening to them as an audiobook, it's a totally different story, and you
Yes.
feel so immersive in like your imagination and also like the Sherlock Holmes movies. I know they're different, but I like love all that mystery and problem
Yeah.
solving, and that's like super fun in a different facet of our creativity. So I
Yeah.
love that. Also, I need to check out that hymn. That sounds so like
Yes.
encouraging and just like a
Yeah,
really good one. Yeah.
I wish I could remember exactly the names of I think a couple of different people wrote the words to it. Um,
Okay. That's
but
cool.
yeah, it's called Zion Sing, and
Okay.
maybe made in the last few years. So
Yeah.
very
Okay. We'll
encouraging.
definitely put those things in the show notes, and it can definitely be reading season as the summer's coming into the end and we get into the cozy, like all the fall and
Oh
everything.
yes.
So I am kind of ready a little bit, but not quite yet, but I'm there. So I think that's going to be perfect. And for me this week, it is kind of funny. Usually I'm like always on my Spotify, different playlists, or some audiobooks or podcasts. I'm definitely a fan, of course, of podcasts as you are, but also listening to them, always learning and just
Yes.
challenging yourself. But this week, some of my friends, they hosted like a small like celebration in downtown Napanee, which is like 20 minutes around from me. It's not, too far, small town. And it was a Hold Hope celebration or Hope celebration. And so two different ministries and my friend Olivia Gerber, and I have to give her a shout out because she's a good friend, but also she's been a guest on the podcast. I
Mm.
believe episode 68. And so we talked about her book in that episode and stuff, but it was really cool where her and her husband, he does worship and he kind of led us through worship. And then she shared her testimony and really these like letters like from her book, but just, more kind of solo, just on the fly, just more kind of conversational. And it was just a really beautiful evening where, it's all about chronic illness and pain, and especially in your young
Mm.
20s, like how do we wrestle with this type of suffering? And then we just like going through even just like this journey with like worship and scripture, and then also our own stories and testimonies. And so it was really interesting and encouraging, like worship night, because it was more than
Mm-hmm.
just a worship night. That's why I say interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, for me, it was just like definitely something I think we all need every once in a while, just to be surrounded by community and to remember
Absolutely.
that hope, the
Yeah.
gospel hope. So
Mm-hmm.
that was definitely something for me, and it was just a lot of fun. And so I do have to mention two of the songs that I remember because there was a lot of them, but the ones I remember that were good were, of course, "Living Hope" by Phil Wickham, classic song, love it so much. And then "Rescuer" or "Good News" by Rend Collective, which that one was fun.
Mm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like he's our rescuer, and then you have to do like the shouting or like the hey. It's like a good campfire song. That
Okay.
makes
All
sense.
right.
Yeah. Your kids really might, they probably love Rend
Oh,
Collective.
okay.
It's definitely, it could be
I'm
their
not
jam.
familiar with it, but oh yeah, there's a lot of singing in our home of a variety of kinds, and there's quite a bit of music that we listen to, but it's
Yeah.
mostly what the kids enjoy. And yes, we're
Yeah.
very songs and music are happening in our home all the time.
I love it. It's so fun. It's definitely a good expression and kind of different expressions throughout our week. So you can jump into theme of the week. So, what has been just like this theme been like? I mean, I kind of mentioned it. It might be back to school or just a different school rhythm for you guys. Like, what has been this past week been like for you and your family, Craig?
Sure. So this is it's an exciting week for our family. Last week our kids started back school. So again, they're
Okay.
homeschooled, so Karen started that. But we also are a part of a homeschool co-op that meets once a week.
Hmm.
And we had done that last year and our kids really enjoyed that. But it's kind of a new season for us because my wife, she graduated many years ago with a degree in art education. And
Awesome.
when
Yeah.
we started our family, she stepped away from that so that she could be home with the kids. But now has been able to find a great way of being able to do that as part of the homeschool that we're doing. And so she's the new art teacher for this homeschool co-op. And today, in fact, they're at it right now, is an ice cream social where they get to meet the teachers and meet the fellow students for this year because classes begin next week. And so Karen's going to be teaching three or four different classes through the day, and I'm just excited for her. She's incredibly talented. Has found ways of using those talents even throughout the years. So that's an exciting development for her and for the kids. This week for me is we are about a month away from our next overseas production trip for Appian Media. And this has been, about 6 to 8 months of preparation. And so last week we actually purchased the plane tickets, which is kind of exciting. There's so much more planning to go into that and film permits and all of these things. But when you buy the plane tickets, for some reason that feels real. So our team of 10, we're planning to fly over to Israel and Turkey and Greece all in one trip. To shoot a documentary about the first half of the Book of Acts. And so that's really where my brain is right now, and lots of prayers and planning and seeking wisdom and guidance to make sure that goes off well, and that we're able to stay safe and productive and healthy and come back with the content that we think will be helpful to others.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, those are vastly like two different things, but they
Yes.
both get me so excited,
Yes.
which is so fun because I'm like, I had so many incredible art teachers over the years, and I'm like, I always thought, oh, it'd be fun to have a class. Like you never know like what that art in you, like you just see the joy in other kids because you're bringing that creativity out of them. And that's just like such a gift. And so I'm like, that sounds like so much fun. Little ice
Oh,
cream
yes.
social, getting to know the
Yeah.
teachers, and then you don't know what the year's going to hold. But that's definitely an exciting season for Karen to step into. It's a different role of creativity when you become a
Yeah.
teacher, and
Yeah.
you learn so much about yourself and your own creative journey. And but also she has an experience before, but it's really cool where you get to like step back into something that you're like, I'm so passionate about this. So that's really cool. And with the plane tickets, oh man, I totally understand. I'm like, I have a couple trips coming up that are just more like fun or family and stuff and like vacation. And it makes it real when you
Yeah.
get them. You're like, oh, this is happening. This is going to
This
be
is happening.
exciting. And man, that sounds like adventurous in the best way. But also, I know it's like, okay, it's like go time. It like puts it
Yeah.
all on the map and everything. So
Yeah.
that's really, really exciting. And that's definitely fun. And it kind of feels like, even like for me with my theme this week, there's been just like this season or kind of like this week of flexibility. Like you're probably like this too, Craig, where you have to have everything planned, especially want to steward things well, steward our time and our calendars, and then serve our families or serve our community, whatever that looks like. And so you have all things scheduled, and you're like, okay, Monday morning, we're going to tackle the day. And sometimes it just doesn't go a
Yeah.
different way. And
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like it's the verse of just remembering the proverbs of like we can and we should like plan to the best of our ability, but it truly is the Lord who just guides our steps, and he gives
Yeah.
us new mercies every morning. And so this kind of flexibility, even the flexibility that you and your family have with homeschooling, like it is such a gift. And it's only me and my dog. You might have heard him earlier, Kodak. And it's just like it's a huge thing when you haven't been in a season of flexibility, when it was more rigid, where you get to have that and you get to spend time with your family or just sit with people. To me, it's like such an encouragement. I really pray for like for myself to remember, and for both of us and our friends listening to remember that God hears our prayers, and he knows like the seasons we'll go through with him, and he also knows what we need for that current season, even if it's a hard one too.
Yeah.
So that flexibility and even just the excitement too, I think it's like, okay, how can we like serve both of those things? Like they're different, like it's a different tension, but also it's a beautiful gift to be able to have a privilege of flexibility and adventure and excitement, all of those things kind of all together in one. So
Yeah,
yeah,
finding the right kind of balance, because I
yeah.
I am very much a planner,
Hmm.
and you have to be with the type of work that we do,
Right.
but you also need to be prepared for
Anything.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a
Hmm.
plan A and a B and a C and a D,
And
and
see.
sometimes
Yeah.
we're pulling off plan S because that's what's
Yep.
happening. And
Yep.
the nature of the work that we do and the countries that we travel to,
Hmm.
you cannot be so fixated on plan
Right.
A. And some of the most exciting things in life, some of the most worthwhile things, are not things that you had on the calendar.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and that's a lesson we're trying to teach our kiddos. I've got a 7 and a 9 and an 11-year-old. Our oldest, my son Ethan, is like me in miniature form, and in so many ways that's a blessing. And in some ways it's like, buddy, I hope that you learned this lesson that I didn't learn until I was in my
Hmm.
early 30s, but I'd love for you to learn at 11,
Yeah.
is have a plan, do the best that you can, be, like you said, good stewards of your time and your talents, but also be willing to let go
Right. Yeah.
and go,
Good hands. Yeah.
hey, I didn't anticipate this, but I should be willing to try it. Never never refuse a door without at least looking through it.
Yeah.
You know, there are
Oh,
some
that's
times where
good.
it's, I hear my kids say, "Oh, I would never fill in the blank." It's like, well,
Mm,
there are some moral
yeah.
standards, yes, that I hope that you say
Right.
I would never fill in the blank because, God
Yeah.
says that's not the way that we ought to live, certainly. But when it comes to different
Mhm.
opportunities, jobs that you might want to do when you grow up, or
Yeah.
foods that you haven't yet tried, don't say yet, and never.
Not yet. Yeah.
Try it out, give it a
Hmm.
shot,
Hmm.
and be willing to be flexible. I took too long learning that particular lesson, and trying to help my kids at least get there a little sooner than I did.
Hmm. Yeah, which is like that's the whole encouragement and like the hope of parenting. I mean, I see a lot of my friends, entering that season and that stage, and you're like, okay, like how can I teach them the things that I wish I knew, and just like guiding them and being that father or that mother. And I just think it's such a kind care, and just even reframing that question, even for us if we're kind of older now and we're doing the adult thing, we're in our mid 20s or 30s or 40s, and it's like, wait, not even having this mindset is just of not yet and not letting fear be like the last thing, because sometimes you can
Yeah,
be, oh, this is the job I've been in, or this is the school my whole family's gone to, and it's like, wait a minute, what actually, maybe this door is something I should just like, creep it open, and you never know, you just never know, which is
yeah, and
exciting.
I mean that is the origin story of what
Yeah.
I'm doing with Appian Media. Is I had never been overseas before. The farthest out of this country I had ever been was Montreal, Canada, for like 48 hours. Um, And I always knew I wanted to do something that married, filmmaking and creative writing and all of that into my love for scripture. But it wasn't until the other co-founder threw out what was a crazy
Yeah.
idea. Let's take a small team over to Israel, and why don't we make it ourselves, and let's give it away for free. And um, boy, we didn't know what we didn't know, and
Yeah,
I'm glad that
it's
in our
true.
ignorance we went, how hard could it possibly be?
Like, why
You know,
not? Let's just
why
do
not?
it.
And boy, the things that we've learned, over the years, we're celebrating 10 years.
That's
We've traveled
amazing.
over there now to many different countries. Um, and to think how different my life would have been if I had said, I've never done that before, therefore I will
Mhm.
never do that.
Right. Or I'm disqualified because I've never done it before. Yeah.
Right. Oh
All of
yeah.
those things.
I mean,
Yeah.
truthfully, I feel that every day though. There's the imposter
Mhm.
syndrome I think that every creative has, where you're like,
Yeah.
why am I the one doing this? Surely there's someone better than.
Someone else. Yeah. Hmm.
But that's what Moses did when God called
Yep.
him. That's what Gideon did when God called him. And you eventually need to get to the point where you're no longer making excuses, as
Yes.
Moses did,
Hmm.
and you're quicker to respond to the job that God has laid upon you. God is never going to ask of us something we're incapable of doing, but he oftentimes prompts us to do things that we've never done before, but
Yeah.
he knows we have the capacity.
Mhm.
We just have to push and learn and grow. And so, yeah, I would encourage anybody, again, never close a door that you haven't first looked through, and never say no to something just because you've never done it. Uh,
That
See
is so
what God has
good.
in store.
Yeah, you never know what God has in store. Yeah, and he'll make us better for it. Man, I feel like we're like already into our main thing, our main topic, which we will move
Yeah.
into, just rediscovering faith-based media. I really do like that context though a little bit that you shared, Craig, of just being able to be like, how did you get into this type of work? I think that's really helpful for people, especially because, I mean, congratulations on 10 years. That's a huge accomplishment. But also people can be like, oh, well, again, that's self-doubt. Like I can never do that. And so even like as we move into these more kind of reflective questions about faith-based media and the importance of it, it's just helpful to know like we all have to start somewhere, and
Yeah.
God can do anything with that yes. So
Yeah.
that's really, really encouraging. So
Mhm.
for our first kind of question though, in our main topic, really like we're talking about really these stories, and even just in our lives are stories of hope and even redemption, and even, oh my goodness, I mean, it's not exactly like a total redemptive story, but in Sherlock Holmes, there is like this moment even too of like, oh, he solved the mystery. It's like this harmony, or this nice ending in a way. And so there's all these different types of stories that just connect with us, whether it's in movies or even everyday life. Like, just why do you think that is? Just like based like on your
Mm.
perspective and just like the things you've seen in your life.
Yeah. Truthfully, I think it's hardwired into us. I think the creator made us to respond well and learn from stories. I don't think it's any coincidence. That's how Jesus presented his teaching, is he wrapped them up in stories. We call them parables. They're more memorable. They
Hmm.
typically can draw on emotions more than a manual. Like God could
Yeah.
have, here's life manual, chapter 7, but that's not how he chose to do it. He chose
Hmm.
most of the Bible is actually written as a narrative. It's written as a story, a historical narrative. But then there's poetry in there as well. There are songs, there are prayers, but the vast majority of it is told in story. And even the people that I have met that don't believe in God, they don't adhere to any of that, still respond
Right.
to stories.
Yeah.
I believe it's hardwired into us. And so when I look at Hollywood and I look at the movies that they're putting out, every once in a while, a good story, a good movie happens, and it's not a Christian movie, it's not necessarily a faith-based anything, but they
Hmm.
strike a chord in audiences, and
Oh,
it doesn't take long for you to track that back and go, that is actually a mirror story of David and Goliath. That's a
right.
mirror story of the faith of the widow.
Hmm.
It doesn't take long for you to actually realize that some of the most compelling stories coming out of Hollywood are biblical at their core. I don't
Hmm.
even know if the filmmakers realize they've done it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the best stories ever told really have originated from God Himself.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would echo all of that, and I love that that was like the answer. Just it's like through this lens that it is literally, yeah, exactly like how God wired us. I mean, you think about the Imago Dei and just we're made in His image, and you think He's so intricate with everything. And I mean, there's even like He's created a heart that longs to know God, and we're searching for all those themes or all these lenses or this actual answer, if you will. And so, of course, we try to, I guess you could say, quote unquote, solve it through like stories or through life, then our life experiences too. And because there's so many shared ones, of course, it's going to strike that chord, but it's really the chord of eternity written on our
Yeah,
hearts. Yeah,
right.
that's so encouraging. So, really, when we kind of look at it, like just like the big media landscape, I mean, there's so many things that we're seeing today from audiobooks to podcasts, those are
Hmm.
good things too. But even just, now, even with all the streaming services, there's commercials and ads and just all these different types of media. I mean, even if you work just on your laptop, you're getting ads when you scroll through any kind of article. So there's so many things that we can come across. So how does like the way that we consume media, how does it influence the way that we live as followers of Jesus?
Mm. I have done a series of lessons and workshops on this very topic. One day, perhaps I will write a book.
Yes,
But I
yes.
usually frame it in the idea of this is Hollywood's Trojan horse. I went to film school. I learned at the feet of industry professionals who were making movies and TV shows during the day and teaching classes, at our school. And so they were able to tell us that this is how it is in the industry. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you they referred to us not as entertainers, but as culture changers.
Wow.
They let us understand that we had the potential of wielding a power to influence people's opinion on any topic in a way that very few other avenues would. And several of us, even myself, went, "Oh, come on. Like
Yeah.
we don't have that much power." And they would say, "Well, consider this. When was the last time that you sat and listened to the President of the United States for 2 hours? When was the last time you listened to any political figure and just it wasn't a conversation, you were just hearing
Mhm.
information from that person for 2 hours at a time?" I've never done that. I
No,
know I
I
did have
know.
a friend who loved to watch C-SPAN, and he was a little weird. Um,
Yeah.
Most people don't. Most people won't.
No.
Even the most influential political leaders of our time, we don't consume
Mhm.
information that way. And yet we will sit in a theater for 2.5. If it's
Right.
a Marvel movie, it's 3.5 hours, and we'll open our
Right.
brain and we will let them dump information. We will let them tell us what the culture is and looks like and should be. We will let them tell us stories of this is good and this is evil. They make the definitions for us. And after 3.5 hours of, again, it's not a conversation, they are talking at us. And then you consider that, and I have to keep updating these statistics every time I give the presentation. I used to be able to say the average, individual in the US will watch television or movies, 4 hours a day. And then I had to update
Hmm.
it 6 hours a day.
Right.
The average consumer in the US, ages 16 and up, is consuming media of some kind, written, audio, visual, 8.5 hours every day.
That's
So,
wild.
over a third of your day, you are letting someone communicate to you. And so, who are we listening to? And what
Mm-hmm.
are they saying? And is it in line with the worldview that God presents in His Word? And again, Hollywood stumbles upon it from time to time.
Yeah.
But on the whole, they are actually incredibly intentional to present a worldview that is contrary to what God says it is. So the stories that they are telling are stories that don't have a God, or if they do include that information, usually God or the representation of God or the person who speaks on behalf of God is typically the villain or the butt of the jokes.
Yeah.
They tell us what
Hmm.
family is supposed to be. They tell us what marriage is supposed to be. They tell us what truth is and that violence solves every problem. And these are not things that are communicated in God's worldview. And so what should we as Christians do and know? I'm trying to consolidate like a 6 hour
Your whole
workshop into a
workshop.
podcast
Yeah.
right now.
I
Is
love it
first
though.
just recognize it's being done.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
25 years ago when I was in film school, and then I would try to share with people, like, do you guys know what I'm learning right now?
Yeah.
I'm trying to let Christians know, do you guys understand we're being taught to manipulate you with color over here?
Hmm.
Do you guys understand? Like, I can put audio track underneath of my thing and get you guys to feel things, and you don't even know I'm doing that. And they would go, that's not happening.
No way. No, but
No, that
yeah.
children's show is completely harmless. It has become easier to convince people. Unfortunately, fortunately,
Yeah.
Hollywood's not really trying to hide it anymore. They're being
Mm.
pretty
Pretty
overt about it.
open. Yeah. Yeah.
They're speaking very clearly. This is what we're trying
Hmm.
to do. This is why we're starting with children's shows because they are
Yeah.
more susceptible to it. And so just being aware
Yep.
that will then influence what we are consuming.
Yep.
In the same way that you wouldn't just walk into a grocery store and just consume whatever you pick up. Hey,
Everything.
it's
Yep.
here, so I might as well eat it. Well,
Mm.
no. You've got a plan, you've got a diet. There's
Yep.
only a certain amount that you will eat, otherwise you'll make yourself sick. You won't have too much of
Mhm.
this, everything in moderation. We
Yep.
need to do that with our media consumption as well.
Mm.
And then I typically try to encourage if there are creatives among us hearing
Yeah.
messages like this, Hollywood does not have to be the only ones putting out content.
Right.
And that's again, that's where Appian Media started. I was working in the industry, as was my co-founder, and he and I were doing what most parents do, and what most Christians were doing is
Yeah.
complaining about what wasn't available, and that's usually where the conversation stops.
Mhm.
Isn't it a shame?
Yeah.
This is coming
Mm.
out, and that's destructive, and isn't this terrible? There should be something like this. Um, but we finally went, well,
Yeah.
we know how to do
Yeah.
that and
Why don't
no
we
one else
try?
is doing it. We could sit here
Yeah.
and continue to wait for someone else, or
Hmm.
we could answer the call and do it. And so that's what I try to encourage creatives. Maybe you have a skill set. Maybe it's in audio, so make a podcast. Maybe it's in
Yeah.
video, so shoot something. Maybe it's you've got a firm grasp of the written word, so write something down,
Hmm.
a poem or a song, or a book. There's no reason at all that the world, this godless world, needs to be the only one putting out culture changing content.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I think everything you said, I feel like that was a bit like I'm really impressed. You tried to put everything down into a very good answer from like almost like a day long workshop. So I
Yes.
feel like there's so much more we can unpack there. But I think that is just the encouragement of it is so easy just to look at the world and be like, oh, well, all hope is lost, or I
Yep.
still like this movie, but it doesn't actually it preach the gospel. I'm like, that's just how it is, and just like leave it at that, and just continue to complain. And I love that call just to be like, well, wait, what can we do? How can we participate in it? And even just thinking about like different types of faith-based media, like how can we bring that into the conversation? Even more of like, oh, I'm watching this thing over here. Like, have you thought about watching it? I mean, there's the House of David. I mean, that one was really big this year, and The
Yeah.
Chosen, of course. I mean, and then even just different other movies. I remember, like in high school, of course, just like the early days of faith-based media and stuff, which
Yeah.
was encouraging that stuff was starting. But now I think there's just like there's this level of quality or with excellence
Yes.
and creativity that really brings the context to life, which is so exciting. So when it does come to that faith-based media that we're seeing that rise in, how have you seen it encourage people to think differently just about their everyday walk with Jesus?
Yeah. Because I would agree with you. 20, 25 years ago, when you think of a
Yeah.
Christian movie or a Christian show, you kind of
You're like, yeah.
shrug and you make excuses for it because I mean, they were doing the best that they could with the funds that they had, which was
Yep.
very small budgets. They
Hmm.
didn't have access to the talent and the crew. But I appreciate the forerunners who went,
Yes. They
we have
started.
$2,000.
Yeah.
So we're gonna buy a Sony X1,
Yep.
or what is it? A Sony? I can't remember now. The Kendrick brothers.
Yes.
They made a
Yeah.
movie called Flywheel, and their
Yep.
budget was the cost of the camera.
That's
That's what they
insane.
had.
I mean, to make a movie with that, just to make a movie, period. But
Correct.
with that, that's
Yes.
wild. Just
And
how hard that
they
is.
had never
Yeah.
done it before. These guys did not go to film school, but they said, we want to tell this
Wow.
story and we'll figure out how. And
Yeah.
so they put
That's
out
huge.
Flywheel, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. But it taught them some things. It connected them with people. It gave them that courage and that drive, and people responded. And so they made
Yeah.
another, and they made another. House
Yep.
of David are again the two brothers that I mean, it was the number one show on Amazon when it
Yeah.
premiered.
Which is
Well, these guys
awesome.
started
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago making music videos for Christian artists,
Mm.
the
Wow.
Irwin brothers. Now they
Hmm.
are having conversations with, film executives in Hollywood
Yep.
saying, okay, now we're going to do season two of The House of David on Amazon. Like,
Yeah.
because somebody along the way said we could either wait until it's perfect before we do anything,
Hmm.
or we can do what we can with what we have, and the next one will be better, and the next one will be better. And so that's my encouragement to I've had opportunities to teach classes and to mentor students high school age and college age and say just make something.
Hmm.
Just make something short. Don't go for the feature film at the first, like you'll
The first
overwhelm
one.
yourself.
Yeah.
Make something 60 seconds and then do it again, and then make something that's 2 minutes and then do it again and do it again. um, and that's true for anything, whether you're
Yeah.
creating movies or you're running a marathon or you don't look at the whole thing and go, well,
Right.
that's impossible, I'll never do that, I've never done
Yeah.
that. No.
It's too much to tackle. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the next step, what's the next turn, what's the next mile? And what I hope that people can do as they look at the industry around, things have shifted in the last 20 years. I remember in high school, I'll show you how old I am, but The Passion of the Christ came out when I was in high
Yeah.
school.
Okay. Yeah.
Nothing like that had ever been shown in a theater, and
Mhm.
nothing like that had ever earned what it did. I mean, it
Right.
blew people away. And that was kind of a one-off. For many years, no one then did anything quite like it. But then someone came along and said, "Well, I'm going to try." And what can I get? And it was in theaters, but 600 theaters. And then it was the next one had 1,000. And then
Hmm.
Now, it is not uncommon for three, four, five major motion pictures to be full theatrical released with God honoring themes and messages. So get something started. See what
Yeah.
God can do.
Oh man, I think that's really encouraging because no one gets to like I mean, you don't even get to 10 years without taking day one,
That's right.
right? I mean, and I think about Jesus feeding the 5,000 and like the five loaves or two fish or just like the boy
Hmm.
with the food. And if he would have thought it wasn't enough, like have much faith. He had that faith just to take the
Yeah.
first step. And he's like, well, hey, I know it's not like everyone, of course it's not to feed 5,000 right there, but he's like, hey, this is what I have. It's an offering. And so
Hmm.
giving that and God can multiply it. But also just like doing that part of just like the work or the training. I mean, the first time either you or I like picked up a camera, I mean, not that we didn't know what we were doing, but the first time
Oh, I
shooting
didn't know what I
video,
was
like
doing.
I didn't totally know, but I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I know the power button's here, this, that.
Yeah.
But like we take those steps and you get better, and then there's people who encourage us. And yeah, I think, man, just taking those steps because if we didn't, I mean, yeah, we don't know what we're missing out on, but it's just this adventure with God. I think that's the encouragement because
Yeah.
we can get caught up in that doubt or that self just kind of like not pity, but just like not believing in ourselves
Yeah.
and stuff. And but God's like, well, wait, no, like you don't see what I see in you. And also, we might not know that it's something that lights us up in this way by not just trying. So
That's
I
right.
think that's really encouraging. And just like, I am really thankful, even I guess when I was in high school, to see some of these movies being released. And now it's just like a common theme, not a common theme, but it's just much more common
Yes.
where have those top spots on Amazon. Like, I think that is like such an encouragement and just opening up different gospel conversations where people might not step back into church today, but they might watch an episode of this and be like, "Oh wait, that's the Bible," and totally open up a new conversation. So, we talked a lot about just the whole media landscape, and of course, it's encouraging to see more efforts, being released or just being produced in this way. But what will we risk if we let the world just define hope for us rather than grounding our understanding of hope in Christ and his kingdom? Like what would the risk be for us if we just continue to go in that way?
Oh, everything. I mean, we will lose everything. You only need to read back through the pages of Scripture and go, this is what happened to a nation when they abandoned God, when they sought their own paths or created gods after their own image.
Hmm.
This is what happens. And it happens every time. Every nation who tells God, I can do it better than you can, suffers the same fate. Sometimes it's very sudden. And sometimes, as I believe I've seen in our own country and culture, it's gradual. So gradual, we don't necessarily realize that it's happening.
Right.
But I'm old enough to go, our culture is talking about fill in the blank topics that no one would have dared talk about 30 years ago, 40
Right.
years ago. And
Yeah.
then I talk to my parents or my grandparents, and they say, this was never a discussion, and now your politicians are trying to decide whether that's legal or not.
Mhm.
We never would have had that conversation. That's what happens when we allow the culture to shift. I'm not putting all the blame on media, but I'm putting most of
Mhm.
it. Because when I think about humans today in this country and other countries are spending a third of our time,
Yeah.
half of our waking hours, letting the world tell us what it wants us to know.
Mm.
And so if I'm spending my time primarily getting it from a particular source or sources that all share the same worldview, absent of God, I'm going to start regurgitating those things
Mm.
without even realizing it.
Yep.
Um, and that will the farther we pull away from God, the more we start believing the world's definitions of words and ideas and concepts. And we are falling into the trap that Eve fell into in the garden. Because all it took was Satan to come and say, did God really say?
Mhm.
just cast doubt on the truth of God's word. And it was enough for Eve to go, well, yeah, that doesn't seem fair. God's trying to hold something, keep something back from me. The ability to make one wise, and that's the one of the main tools of Satan these days. Is most of us who have a faith have defenses against those frontal attacks that say, you know, I'm not going to deny my faith. Of course not. God is real, and I believe that. But we're more susceptible to that
Yeah.
whispering voice in our ear that said,
Mhm.
"Did God really say that? Is that really what he means when he why doesn't God want you to have
XYZ. Yeah.
XYZ?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that must be because he doesn't love you.
Mm.
It's those lies. It's
Right.
Satan's
Oh yeah.
playbook from the very beginning, and it was
Hmm.
effective, so he's continues to use it.
He uses it. Yeah, he uses the
And
same ones.
we've got to bury ourselves in the book and remind ourselves and read again and again. No, this is what
Hmm.
God said, and this is why he holds these things back from me. It's not because he doesn't love me, it's because he
Right.
loves me. He's trying to
Hmm.
protect me or help me or cause me to grow. It is what Jesus did when confronted with Satan. He said, no, actually, it's written
Hmm.
this,
Yeah.
and that flies in the face of what you're trying to get me to believe.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's really encouraging. And even just like I mean, it's so practical. I mean, just the like, I guess, realization of how much time we're spending. Like, I mean, we all have our phone, we have our laptop, wherever it is, but even when you're driving, there's still different types of media with billboards, like printed media
Oh,
still
yeah.
exists,
Oh, yeah.
right? And you as a designer, I'm like, oh yeah, you see it all the time. And so just that like realization of the world, like there is always a message that is trying to be pushed or carried, and just being aware of that. And it's like, okay, well, if this is like I'm going to see all these things, what am I actually like intentionally putting in? I mean,
Mhm.
so whether it is like faith-based podcasts or devotional or worship music, like different things, like I think that's so important. And even, I mean, it's kind of a, I don't know, it's a simpler example even of just looking at like your like closest 3 or 5 friends. But what if our closest 3 to 5 friends are like on like everything here
Yep.
with media, and
Yep.
like you like pick up mannerisms, you say different words. And I'm like, I totally do that when I get back and around my college roommates or friends like from different years, or make a new friend. I'm like, oh wait, I'm saying this the way they do. I wonder
Hmm.
why. So it's
Yeah.
just like this sneaky little, it's some things, it's not all, bad when we mimic our friends and stuff, but just like how subtle it is. And
Yeah.
so being on that proactive side of a fight of, okay, am I getting scripture in first? Is it through just like even just the Bible reading like app, just where it reads scripture if you have a long commute? I know I've been in seasons like that. And just being, I think proactive is the key word. And
Yes.
reframing the whole conversation of where we can bring encouragement, it rather than just a spirit of complaining too. I think
Yeah.
like going back to the very beginning.
And there's so much good material now to choose from in so
Right.
many forms.
Hmm.
Appian Media is one of many,
Hmm.
and I'm thrilled to be able to
Yeah.
say that. People ask us, as every good business has to evaluate, who's your competition in this space, and we
Right.
we don't view that we have any. We're not competing. We're simply trying to create additional avenues, additional resources. And so, whether it's a long commute or you're sitting at home and you want to consume something, and even the things that we offer, sometimes it's video, it's podcasts, it's workbooks, it's what can we provide so that we can be filling ourselves up with meaningful, God honoring
Hmm.
content.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. I think that's really encouraging, Craig. And just like 4 final thoughts, just really breaking it down. We ask this question to every guest, just how are you actively carrying the gentle love of Jesus wherever you go?
It needs to be first and foremost in how I live and how I treat people. You can say all day long, I'm a person of the book and I let Jesus live in me and the Spirit live in me.
Yep.
But if I'm not actually treating people the way that I'm supposed to be
Mhm.
treating them, if I'm not bearing the fruit of the Spirit as it's described, That needs to be first and foremost. That is going to have the greatest impact than any sermon you'll ever preach or any testimony you'll ever give. If they see Jesus living in you
Hmm.
in how you treat them, they see Jesus living in you in how you respond to suffering.
Yep.
If your world collapses because of some financial thing and everything's over and doom and gloom and there's no hope, well, but you profess to
Yeah.
be, a Christ follower who says,
Hmm.
even if you were to lose all of that, there's still the hope of heaven.
Yeah.
What are they seeing in you? And that really should be, driven by the Spirit, driven by what we read about in His Word. That should be influencing every decision that we make. And Spirit-filled people will produce the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah, man, I love that answer. I mean, sometimes we can just overcomplicate it, right? It is literally like, how are we carrying that? And so just having those eyes to see people and in every interaction, whether it is from like pumping gas or saying thank you to like someone helping you with a food order or even just like waving to someone on your street or talking to a
Yeah,
neighbor, like seeing them in the image of God and showing those fruit of the Spirit, whether it's kindness, gentleness, goodness, all those things. Yeah. I think
yeah.
that's really encouraging, Craig, and just so simple. I think it's a good reminder that we all need every day. Oh, Craig, just thank you so much for just being a guest. And I really feel like this isn't the last time you're going to be on the podcast. You've been such a wonderful guest. Maybe you can come back and do like a deeper dive on a different thing or a different film that you have coming up. Just really thankful for the work that you're doing, especially in our state in Indiana. That's really exciting. But just where can people stay connected with you, our listeners, and just also support the work that you're doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled to be on the podcast and yeah, let's definitely find another time. I would welcome that. People can find us online, either on our YouTube channel. You can look up Appian Media, or you can visit us on our website, appianmedia.org. And there's a contact form on that website. And so if people have thoughts or questions or ideas for future series, they can also there on that website, they can support the content. We are a non-for-profit, and so we operate and give the content away for free because people donate to us on the front end of it. And we're incredibly blessed by generous donors, hundreds of people around the world. And and that's how we'll continue to create this and eventually cover the Bible from Genesis to Revelation with media to help us dig deeper into the Word. And so we're thankful for that.
Craig, that's really exciting. And yeah, I feel like our friends, I mean, there's no barrier. So go check out Craig's stuff. It's all free in Appia
Yep.
Media and share this episode with a friend and share resources. And of course, we'll link everything we talked about down in the show notes. So it's really easy to stay connected with you and support Appia Media and the work you're doing. But again, thank you, Craig, so much. Really been a pleasure having you on as a guest. And friends, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful week and continue to carry the gentle love of Jesus wherever you go.